kindergarten class. We are back with another little adventure of book reading. But before I start, I want you to look at my clue. I have a clue for you today. My clue is a colorful napkin. What could we be doing at the end of our story that might include a colorful napkin? Well, here's the book we're going to read. What does this word say, readers? Apples. Apples. A-P-P-L-E-S spells apples. And this story about apples is by Gail Gibbons. Now, every time you see this word in this book, when it's in there a lot, I want you guys to say the word with me. Apples. Okay, can you do that? Every time you see that word, you are going to say it with me. Don't forget my secretive napkin. What is it doing there? An apple is a fruit. It grows on an apple tree. Apple trees grow in more parts of the world than any other fruit tree. The first American colonists brought apple seeds and seedlings with them from England. A seedling is a very young, small tree. As the colonists moved westward, they brought, what's that say? Apple seeds and seedlings with them. Some settlers found that Native American Indians had already brought apple seeds west and had apple trees growing near their village. Do you see all these words that say apple? Many times during the early 1800s, John Chapman traveled throughout the wilderness of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Indiana, planting apple seeds. Also, he gave seeds and seedlings to the settlers there. He became known as, you probably already know, Johnny, Appleseed. What a fun name that would be to have. I would like that name. Some apples are grown at home, but most are grown commercially. Commercially means that it's grown a lot together in one place and sent to market from there. This is a picture of them being grown at home. This is a picture of them being grown commercially. What a fun word that is. Can you say commercially? This is very interesting. Each year, about 250 million bushels of apples are grown in the United States, and about 28 million bushels are grown in Canada. Now, boys and girls, that is a lot of apples. When there's a lot of apple trees like this all together and they're used for selling lots and lots of apples, it's called an apple orchard. It's not just apple trees, it's an apple orchard because there's many apple trees in one place. Here we have an apple cut up. An apple is a firm, crisp, fleshy fruit with a hard center called a core. The core has 5 seed chambers. Here you see the little seed chambers. See them? Those are called carpels. Can you say carpels? Carpels. And inside each seed chamber is a what? A seed. The outside is the skin, just like the skin on your body. And the part that you like to eat, this white part, this is called the fleshy part. And of course you have your stem and your what? Leaf. We call this middle part the core of the apple. In springtime, flowers called apple blossoms begin to bloom on the apple tree. The apple blossoms are so beautiful. Pollination happens when a grain of pollen from a stamen lands on the stigma of another blossom. It lands on there and it actually goes down, 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 down into here. And this is where your apple will start growing, right here at this round part. Each blossom has to be pollinated in order for an apple to grow. Blossoms are usually pollinated by insects or by the wind. What is pollinating this flower? That's right. And here you see the flower has dried up, and what was underneath the flower is the part that's going to grow. After a while, the blossoms begin to die and the apples will begin to grow. Look at them changing. Throughout the warm summer, the little apples grow bigger and bigger. It's starting to look a whole lot like a what? A real apple. During the late summer or early fall, the apples ripen. And notice these apples are not red. They're yellow, or they say golden. These are golden, delicious apples. Beautiful. When trees are loaded with ripe apples, it is harvest time. Workers have to pick the apples by hand. Looks like there might be a puppy helping to pick those apples, huh? Oh my goodness, can you read what this truck says? It says corn on the cob. No, it says oranges. No, it says hippopotamuses. No, it says apples. Oh my goodness, Miss Parris, come on. Here's some of the wonderful things you can buy that have apples in them. Apple butter, apple jelly, apple cider vinegar, apple cider, apple sauce, apple juice. All these things are shipped to stores and sold. You might buy them. Some are sold in baskets along road stands. Have you ever stopped at the side of the road and bought a bushel of apples? Fresh, wonderful, crunchy apples. And sometimes they let you sample them so you can decide which ones you like the best. During the fall, it is fun to go apple picking. I know most of you have probably been apple picking at one time or another. I especially love when you get to use a wagon. I love wagon picking. Also, there are country fairs. Awards are given to the best looking apples, the best tasting apple pies, and the most delicious applesauce. There is even apple cider too. I love a cup of good apple cider. There's a page in here that tells you how to make it too. You might even see caramel apples or candy apples at holidays. When winter arrives, the apple branches become bare and the trees become dormant. Dormant does not mean that they have died. Dormant means they're alive. They're just not growing anything at the moment. Dormant. Then in the spring, the trees will produce a new crop of apples. Look at all these wonderful apples. Apples have many tastes, ranging from sweet to tart. All apples can be different shades. Let's see if you can read these words. Of what? It's a color word. Yellow, green, and red, or a mix of those colors. Let's look at some of these beautiful apples. Here we have a Rome Beauty. And then we have a Red Delicious. Look how big and beautifully shaped the Red Delicious is. It's not my favorite tasting, but it's definitely one of my favorite looking. A McIntosh apple. Golden delicious apple. That's the golden colored apples. All right, somebody in our class is named after this wonderful apple. What's it say? Jonathan. There's a Jonathan apple. A York apple. I know a city named York. A Stamen apple. And an old Granny Smith apple. It says that, really. It says Granny. Granny Smith. These are your apple pie apples. Very sour, but they're wonderful in an apple pie. Here it shows you how to care for your own apple trees. This would be a good book to get if you wanted to plant your own apple trees. Did you know that apple trees can be 20 feet tall? And the soil around the tree has to be fertilized. It means putting special vitamins and minerals around it so that it grows strong. And the pruning and fertilizing will help produce lots of apples. Right, what they're doing right there, it's called pruning. Do you want to cut all your trees apart? No. The apple farmers know just how to prune their apple tree. And here, if you ever wanted to bake your own apple pie for Mrs. Parris, there's a recipe right here. I'll be expecting that apple pie any day now. It says, make your own apple pie with the help of an adult. So fun. And then here's the page I was telling you about. How they show how they make the apple cider. There's a handle that has a little screw down in it. And that's what actually puts the pressure down on all this. But let me tell you what each part is. It says the apples are dropped into the hopper where they are cut up. So here you see the little blades. They're being cut up right here. They're sharp like little knives. 2, the apple pieces drop into the tub until it's 3/4 full. See here, they're being dropped in. And then the press handle is turned. He turns that handle, turns the handle, and it presses down on that apples. And the apples are pressed so hard that it pushes the juice right out of them and drip, 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 drip right into the jug. That's how you get your apple cider. Delicious. Oh my goodness, here are more wonderful apples. There are thousands of varieties or kinds of apples. And I want to point one out to you because I think it's such a cool name. It's right here. That apple has a cool name. Can you read it? King David. King David. That is a King David apple. Did you know there's such a thing? There's another fun one. Right here. Molly's Delicious. Molly's Delicious apples. There's a girl named Molly with her own delicious apple. Oh, I like this one too. Honey Gold. Look at all those apples real quick. They said there's thousands of kinds of apples. That's just 12 of them. Wouldn't it be fun to know all those different names? Maybe there's one named after you. Apples are delicious and nutritious. Now, that brings me to my very last little bit here. Move my library book out of the way. Remember my beautiful apple, or my beautiful napkin? Talking about apples so much I said apple. Well, I have something to show you. I bought my favorite apple to show to you. Look at the colors in it. It's got pink and yellow and then kind of a dark pink. There's no red. It's more of just a pinky apple. It has a pretty name. It's called a pink lady apple, and it is by far my favorite because it's crunchy, it's not soft at all, and it's very sweet. It's better than candy, I have to say. Now, children, I would love to share my apple with you today. Would that be okay? All right. Now, we've talked a lot about cutting things directly in half. So, let me go ahead and start by taking my knife. And you know, if you're going to get an apple out and you want to cut it, you are just kindergartners. Do you think you're old enough to take a knife and cut your apple by yourself? No, you're not. So if you're going to cut an apple, you need to get an adult to help you. You never get a knife on your own. You leave those knives alone. It's best just to get an adult. Now, let's look at my knife. And I'm going to move it over to show you half. I'll give you this much, and I'll eat that much. How about that? Is that not halfway? Okay, let me turn my knife. Let me give you this much. And I'll eat the top part and you eat the bottom part. No? Okay, well let me cut it this way. You can eat this piece and I'll eat that piece. No? Well, you guys are always so hard to please. I tell you what, I will cut it straight down there. 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 No. There. No. Yeah. Right there. That looks about right, don't you think? I will cut it right here. Now remember, boys and girls, what I said. You don't cut your apples by yourselves. You get an adult to do it. You know what? I'm going to have to use 2 hands to do this, I think. Maybe Miss Parris needs some help all by herself cutting her apples. That wasn't exactly what I expected, but there you go. Here's my apple. Cut in half. Oh, it's so pretty, don't you think? Especially on my colorful napkin. What do you see in there? You see 5 pods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one has a little tiny seed. Now I know usually we cut the apples the other way. Mom will cut the apples the other way. But I like cutting them this way because you get to see the pretty star on the inside and enjoy how pretty that is. You can even see these little marks around the star. Isn't God amazing that He would make something so beautiful as this? Just beautiful. The handiwork is just amazing. So if you're going to eat an apple, which I suggest everyone do, see if Mom can cut your apple this way. And even if you didn't like an apple, you don't like to taste it, you can always take a marker and color over the top and then turn it over and use it as a stamp. And stamp things. Or paint even will work well. When I was a little girl, we used to take the apples and we used to twist the top, and of every twist we'd say a letter of the alphabet, like A, B, C, D, and we'd twist the core and we'd see what letter we'd end on. Sometimes we could go all the way to Z without the core breaking off. That's what's kind of cool. Alright, kiddos, time to eat some apple. You hurry right over and eat your half. It's waiting for you, okay? Y'all have a good night.